The Galactic Concord officially classified Christmas as a human cultural hazard. This wasn't because it was violent or contact. It was because no one, absolutely no one, could ever fully predict what humans would do during it. This is precisely why Research Station Aurora-9 had been placed under a mild lockdown for what they called the December observation period. And it's also why the alien cubs were supposed to be tucked safely in bed. They were not. The cubs of Aurora-9 hailed from 12 different species. Some were furred, others scaled, feathered, or even gelatinous. But they all shared one thing in common. They absolutely adored the humans, especially the human they called Mr. Nick. He wore red all year round, laughed with a booming voice, and smelled faintly of smoke and spices. He insisted on calling every single cub kiddo. The adults on the station referred to him as maintenance personnel. The cubs, however, knew the truth. "He's Santa," whispered Tika, a little Velian cub, her 6 ears twitching with excitement. "He brings gifts," chirped Brawl, his mandibles clicking happily. "And food," added Noro, a small reptilian cub whose tail thumped against the floor in anticipation. They'd all heard the stories. On Earth, Santa came just once a year. He wore red, he laughed, and he brought miracles wrapped in paper. So, when the station lights dimmed and the artificial snow effect activated in the central habitat dome, the cubs knew it was time. They snuck out of their quarters and waited. Now, Aurora-9 didn't have chimneys. It had advanced ventilation shafts, plasma filters, and radiation baffles, but definitely no chimneys. This made it extremely alarming when one of the main vents began to rattle, coughed out a cloud of black soot, and then a voice echoed from within. "Ho! Ho dash cough dash wow. That's definitely not OSHA approved." The cubs froze. A single black boot landed on the floor. Then another. Out of the vent climbed a human in a bright red suit, his white beard slightly askew. He was carrying a massive bucket with a very familiar logo. "All right," the human muttered, adjusting his hat. "Let's see where the kids are." The cubs erupted. It was a scream of pure joy, echoing in 12 different languages. "Santa," the human blinked, clearly surprised. "Well," he said slowly, "I guess the universe made up its mind. By all logic, the station's alarm should have blared. They didn't. Security cameras should have immediately flagged an unauthorized vent entry. Dente. Later, analysts would be baffled to discover that every single security system on the station had glitched at the exact same moment, as if reality itself had decided this was perfectly okay. Santa kneeled down, placing the bucket right in the middle of the circle of wide-eyed cubs. "I didn't know what y'all eat," he sighed kindly, "but humans swear by this stuff." He lifted the lid. The smell hit them first. Fried chicken. A complex blend of spices, oil, salt, and pure warmth. The pupils of every cub dilated. "What is that?" whispered Tika. Santa smiled. "Kiddo, this is a Christmas miracle." He began to hand out the pieces carefully: drumsticks, wings, fluffy biscuits, and salty fries. The cubs hesitated for a split second. Then, Noro, the little reptilian, took a bite. The entire station seemed to fall silent. Noro's eyes went wide. His tail stiffened, then began wagging so hard he completely fell over. It's... He gasped, scrambling right back to the bucket for more. Brawl clicked his mandibles frantically. "Sheh." Tika took a cautious nibble of a biscuit. She froze in place. I can hear the stars singing. Within seconds, glorious chaos erupted. The cubs forgot their manners. They forgot their languages. Some of them even seemed to forget about gravity. You used that, and ate. Santa watched them, laughing softly, handing out napkins and refilling small cups with something he called gravy. "You kids all right?" he asked. Tika looked up, her face smeared with crumbs, her expression one of utter reverence. "Santa," she said, "I will follow your species into any war." The first adult to arrive on the scene was Commander Vishnu, a 7-foot-old Drakari with impressive ceremonial horns. He stopped, dead in his tracks. He stared. On the floor of his meticulously regulated research station sat 12 alien cubs, devouring fried chicken, surrounding a human dressed as Santa. Veshtal's voice trembled. "What is happening?" Santa looked up from his bucket. "Evening, Commander. Want a wing?" The commander fainted. By morning, the entire station knew. The cubs refused their breakfast. They refused lunch. They turned their noses up at nutrient paste, algae cubes, protein gels, and their usual crystalline supplements. They wanted only one thing. They chanted it over and over. KFC medical scans showed no signs of harm. In fact, it was quite the opposite. The cubs' growth rates had spiked. Their stress levels had plummeted. Several species even developed entirely new vocalizations that were classified as happy sounds. The cubs just sat together, their bellies round, dreaming of red suits and golden buckets. One official report dryly noted, "After exposure to human Christmas ritual number 47, juvenile morale increased by 312%. Subjects refuse alternative sustenance, citing nothing compares." The Galactic Concord was not pleased. Emergency councils were called. Panic filled the holocambers. What if this food destabilizes interplanetary trade? One official worried. What if it creates a biological dependency? Fretted another. What if the humans are using it as a weapon? The human representative on the council simply shrugged. It's just chicken. Meanwhile, the cubs, watching the proceedings from behind a reinforced glass panel, held up handwritten signs that read, "More Santa, more chicken." When questioned, Santa, whose real name was Nick Alvarez, a retired logistics engineer, just smiled. "Christmas is about sharing, Isaid simply. It doesn't matter what planet you're on." They asked him how he managed to bypass the station's billion-credit security systems, a Win kit. They asked him why the cubs had bonded so strongly and so quickly to this strange new food. He wordlessly handed them a biscuit. They took a bite, and they understood immediately. The next year, Aurora-9 was prepared. The ventilation shafts were reinforced but also decorated with festive lights. The cubs were all given little red hats. A single, empty bucket was placed ceremonially in the center of the habitat dome, and when Santa climbed out of the vent this time, the station didn't panic. They cheered. The cubs rushed him, chanting in perfect unison, "Chicken! Chicken! Chicken!" Santa laughed until he cried. Later, galactic historians would write, "Humans did not conquer the stars with weapons or advanced technology, but with comfort, ritual, and fried food." And somewhere, scattered across the galaxy, alien cubs still believed that Christmas meant warmth, that Santa was real, and that nothing, absolutely nothing, could ever be better than a KFC meal shared with a human who cared. Humanity, of course, just called it dinner. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure. See you next time.